Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Mike Prince Show. I am your host, the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. As you know, each and every day we try to come to you with something unique, fresh, and different perspective in the world of athletics. Although we are a variety talk show, we talk about a whole bunch of things, but we choose to stay in the world of sports. Today is going to be a special treat for our listening audience. Those who listen on a regular basis have heard this man before and have even witnessed some of his broadcasts through our affiliation of networks, and that is none other than the voice of the Mississippi Valley Delta Devils and the owner and founder of Greenwood Morning Live, my good brother and dear friend, Brother Lee Hall. How are you today, my friend?
Fine. Always a pleasure to talk with you. Doing great.
All right. I'm doing as great as well, man. The weather is got back into a sense of normality since Harvey has blown through, but nonetheless, things are looking the same. What has been going on in the world of Mississippi Valley when it comes to the gridiron?
Got to say, they'll play 3 ball games. They played the first ball game up in North Dakota, Fargo, North Dakota. You know anything about North Dakota State Bison? Do you know that they have won some national championships since moving to Division I? Got State went up there. And like most schools, when you go there, it's nothing good for the Division teams when they play in the Fargo Dome. Very loud place, very good football team. And Valley State fell to the Bisons in the opening week of the college football, actually official week around the country by score of 72-7. It was not good. Came back the next week again on the road, went to Carbondale, Illinois, and took on the SIU football team. They are a very good football team. And they defeated Valley State as well by a lopsided margin. And that was off 1 week, and they came back and took on another powerhouse, the Grambling State Tigers, on Saturday night. First trip back to Rice Cotton Stadium since last year, and Grambling beat Valley State 38-6.
So the Delta Devils 0-3 as we speak. And you and I, we get a chance, we dialogue on a more than frequent basis, and we talk a lot about the possibilities of what could or should be the case for Valley State. You, in the bird's eye view of the situation, being the voice of the Delta Devils, what do you see as the overall challenge for the Valley State football program? That's all we want to focus on today is football. What do you see as the overall challenge for that?
It's always, when it comes to Valley State, about getting players, anyone who reads about sports and pick up USA Today, they go there and they see this past year they came out with the money, the scholarships, the money of athletic programs. And Valley State was on the bottom. If you're on the bottom when it comes to money in football, your program is just not going to do that well. That's been the case for a long time. And the longer it's like that, the more challenges you're going to have. They can talk about players, they can talk about coaches, they can talk about stadiums, community support, until you get the players in there. And that's more than a notion to say get the players. When you get the players, you can talk about the defensive scheme, the offensive scheme, the brain power behind football. We just have to go to what Coach Wooden said. Coach Wooden said, give me players over coaches any day. Give me players over, you're adding this on, give me players over facilities any day. Until you get the money, the recruiting budget in your athletic program, whatever it is, and you're going to, most of the time, come up on the short end of the stick. Most of the times. There's some exceptions, but college football and winning programs are not built on exceptions. They're built on the norm. And the norm is what it takes to get football players.
We're speaking with the voice of the Mississippi Valley Delta Devils, Brother Lee Hall, just talking in general about the state of Valley when it comes to football. And I heard you with your Jerry Maguire moment, show me the money in translation as far as getting the program up to speed. Now, I know there was a big in-depth reporting of the NCAA as far as programs and what they're breaking in each year. And I think it's about 18 months behind the way they do these reports coming out. But it was showing that Valley State was at the bottom tier when it comes to the Southwestern Athletic Conference as far as revenues put in and revenues raised from this program. Now, I want you to put on your athletic director's hat just for a moment and say, here you go, Brother Hall. What's the steps of getting this thing back on course?
Again, if I went through that, I will repeat what I said the first time. I'm not sure if the athletic directors would have the autonomy because they pull money from other parts of the university to put into the athletic program. I do think that the athletic directors that have come and gone at Mississippi Valley State, I do think that the coaches that have come and gone at Mississippi Valley State have done the very best that they could with what they have. That sounds good. Do the best we can with what we have. Take a little and go a long way. But unless you're being measured with the same stick that others are being measured with, the truth is, there's just no way around it. Now, how should they go out and get the money in? I don't know how they do that. I would be guessing and saying that I know better than what the athletic directors do. I know better than what the presidents do. And I don't know better than they do. I think when you come there and be the president, I think you want your whole university to do well, including athletic programs. And we know now, for those that didn't know, whether they are general fans, regular fans, or whether they're president of universities, they know that during this time of the year, during the football time of the year, with the football hype, whether you're in north, south, east, western part of the United States, you know that in college, when it comes to raising funds, they raise their money. They get their biggest money coming in during this time of the year. People anticipate football. They're hyped up about it, whether they have winning programs or not. When it comes to Valley State, I was at a meeting last night where the president came and spoke, the acting president. It's different from the interim president. This acting president, Dr. Jared Briggs, he is also in position for the job. As folks know that Dr. Bynum, who was the president at Valley State University, Mississippi Valley, he moved on to Jackson State University and had him on this past basketball season. He talked about athletics. He's the president who's going to put money into athletics to try to make it go, to try to make it improve, not just for basketball season then, but for the whole program. Now, the best that you can do with what you get from the state, many times they like to turn and look to the local community for support. That's what Dr. Jared Briggs said last night about getting money to come to Mississippi Valley State. We have to go out. We have to go out into the community, into the businesses, and ask them as a student and as Valley State have a financial impact in the community. They want some of that money to go back into the university. So that is how I guess you started. You asked me about the athletic director. So it would take the athletic director, it would take the coaches, it would take the president as well. Using that same model, go out to the community and get what you can. And there's going to be a limitation there too, because you're talking about in the Delta area. But if some would be none, getting more than you get now with means an awful lot. I say that to say this, that when you go to most college towns, and the town is college town because the college is there. When you go into the Prairie View area, when you go into the Jackson State area, let's use Mississippi State, Ole Miss. There's two schools in the state. When you hit that town, when you hit that city limit, you know what university is there in that town. So the president said last night that he wants the same feeling, that same sight when people come to Mississippi Valley State. When they come to Greenwood, which is the largest town closest to Valley State, which is located in Itapena, which is about 2,000 people. Greenwood is about 15,000, 16,000 people. The county is about 32,000 people. But to have a university in your town, it should reflect that when people come in, especially for homecoming, they should know that the school we're going to play, colors are green and white with a little red from time to time. That's community support. And that would trickle all the way down to athletics. Go a little bit further before the next question is, Valley State getting ready to play a ball game. Matter of fact, 3 out of the 4 ball games they played already this year, they have been money games. So folks would think that the fact that you have your football team going out there to play for money, then that money should go back into the athletic program. No, it does not. This is out of the mouth of the president. It goes to the university to help with other sports and the university as well.
Speaking with Lee Hall of the Mississippi Valley Delta Devils play-by-play in the access of 20-plus years. And we're just doing a little roundtable on today's edition of the Mike Prince Show. Want to remind you that you can follow me on Twitter at Radio Guy. Also, Instagram is Radio Guy 22. And don't forget, we're on Facebook at Open Mic Broadcast Network. That's OPEN capital MIC Broadcast Network. And I would be remiss if I did not tell you about our low-tech app. And that's simply dialing the number 605-477-5066. Listen to 24-hour programming right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Brother Hall, you made a very compelling appeal on how to go to the approach of getting this thing to surface. And before I get to this next question, I want to ask you, I got a feeling of what it is, but I just want to ask locally, just for my own well-being. In the local shopping centers, i.e., the big brand center that is known for rural community shopping, I won't call their names out because they're not a sponsor or an underwriter nor a supporter.
Okay.
But in the local department store / shopping center, how prevalent is the Mississippi Valley appearance and presence when it comes to apparel in those local community stores?
It is getting there. Again, there was a conversation that came up last night at the meeting with Dr. Jared Briggs, who was there. And he said that it is getting better. And he's been there for the past 4 years as a second man in charge. But this is something that people have been talking about all along. There was a time, right, you went to these stores, the local stores, that you couldn't buy a Valley State cap. You couldn't buy a Valley State shirt. You couldn't buy that. But he says that his goal is to be able to get the same apparel in the community, in these stores, that you get from the bookstore on the campus. That is his intent. It's better now than it used to be, but you always want a little bit more. Not more in terms of greed, but more in terms of equity and being fair, particularly when you're in this community, because this Mississippi Valley State University belongs to the community. And the community is reaping benefits from Valley State in the millions in terms of the Valley State budget, in terms of the people that's living here and shopping here, in terms of over 400 employees there. And they go to the local stores. They go to the local service business, local business with products. They go there. And it's better than it used to be, but it has some work to do. And that can work in 2 ways. And then you put that apparel on, you're going to have a green and white. You're going to say Valley State. That's marketing. So it works in that direction. And that's what you really want. What does that do? That means recruiting. It's no hidden fact. And the gentleman last night talked about, if you ask me, I'm going to tell you the truth about Mississippi Valley State. It's good. It's financial-wise in terms of what it's doing and with the money it has. Not compared to Mississippi State, Ole Miss. Out of the 8 universities, it's number 3 in terms of solvency. It's number 3. So many folks would think that, well, that university in Mississippi Delta, they got to be struggling. They got to be on the brink of closure. No, they're doing good in that respect. But they always can be better. And that betterment can come from local people, not just the businesses, but also when it comes to recruiting. When you put their apparel in those stores, anytime folks, you look out there, they'll say Alabama, Alabama. They're called Alabama. They're called Mississippi State. They're beginning to call Clemson now. They're called that. But when you put the T-shirts and the caps and the jackets in the eyes of these in-house schools, in elementary schools, and when you speak about Mississippi Valley State with pride, you hear out of their mouths later on in their lives that I want to go to Mississippi Valley State. So that's why it's important to put that in the local businesses and have them to sell it, push it, make it accessible and affordable to the local.
Absolutely, absolutely. I echo those very same thoughts. It's more irritating for me to be in my community and I'm at a local department store and I see apparel for universities that are 300, 400 miles away from me, some cases 60, 50 miles away from me, but then I can't get anything from the local college that is literally right down the road. And that I'm having, but it did kind of spark an idea for me. And then maybe I need to stop complaining and start me a little apparel shop here locally. You know, I might have to start looking into that and see what all is going to have to be done about that. We're talking with Lee Hall, the voice of the Mississippi Valley Delta Devils, and we're talking. I'm calling you Coach. I'm so used to talking to so many different coaches, but
I'm a fan.
When you talked about this appeal of getting the community involved, and I'm going to use a terminology that my father would say. That at 50 years old, I find myself echoing, didn't understand as I do now. But meanwhile, back at the ranch, until I can get that dream relationship with the community, we know that's a work in progress, and it's going to be something that continually then has to be worked on. What can I do with X's and O's and talents that I have to execute to maximize the opportunity of winning right now while that change is being developed?
Okay, we said of winning, right?
Yes, sir.
Of the change of winning.
But before you go there, winning is more than just winning on the field.
Okay. That's what
winning on the field is part of it. And yes, everybody recognized when the NCAA just cracked down on 5 or 6 major universities just the other day, that it didn't have a problem winning, but they were winning with some shade over them, if you will. I'm talking about doing it and doing it right. If you're going to understand anything about building a brand, a culture, or any type of habits, there's going to be some consistency involved, and it's something that you just can't get faint on when it doesn't fall your way instantly.
Winning from a coach's perspective, first of all, winning for the university, winning for the student athlete would be student athlete, and which leads to graduation and a productive life after graduation. That is true winning. But coaches are not hired on graduating students and productive young men, which is number one. But they get their jobs and they lose their jobs based on what they do on the playing surface, the football field, the basketball field, because the community is going to demand that. They're going to feel the pressures from the community, talking about the coaches in the school, if they don't get their winning product on the field in terms of that sports, whichever their sport's supposed to be, whatever it's supposed to carry, they've got to win there too. Because if you don't win in the classroom, then here comes the NCAA as well. So right now, coaches have a lot on them. They have to multitask, get athletes, retain athletes, have the graduation rate up and up on the APR rating. They got to have that. We've seen schools across the country, across the SWAC, all have ordered to that at some point in time. So you got to have that going in the right direction. What it takes to do that, a lot of schools are bringing on some extra people to help in those areas to keep them eligible academically if they're in the right area that would lead to getting a degree. Yet while they do that, they got to try to win on the football field. Because if you don't have those two things in the right direction, you don't get the W's more so than the losses. You don't get the 7-4, 8-3 records. You won't get that unless you retain them and graduate them and bring in talent to the level where you can compete. Because talent going to win out every time. That's John Wooden.
Yes, sir. It will win, and it's a proven factor that if I got 4 talented guys to your 1, all we got to do is wear him out, and then the rest will take care of itself.
And Mike, it's really big in football because you're talking about a gang of players. You know, basketball, you might can slide with it. Baseball, you can get in there and compete sometimes. But at the end of the day, when we see these tournaments come up, the postseason tournaments, the NCAA tournament, we'll see the cream rise to the top every time. Every time.
Absolutely.
You'll have some Cinderellas in there, but that's not every day. And I haven't seen the Cinderella win the NCAA championship. I haven't seen the Cinderella win. I'm saying the NCAA basketball championship or the national championship in football. You always can kind of calm it down, and you'll see them rising up like Clemson did. You'll see Alabama still staying there all along. You'll see what's taking place with University of Texas and Texas A&M. Got all the kind of money, but going into this season, they talked about Sumlin was on the chopping block. A lot of schools, they have what they need, and the pressure is still there. You talk what happened to the brother who's coaching up at UT. He got there. What's his name? Charlie Strong. He got there. He had to get out of there because the pressure of winning on the football field. And those that are pumping their money into the university, do they really care about the graduation of their students? We're not saying they don't, but they want their student athletes that can come in there and bring them some national championships and national recognition and some respect in that sport.
Speaking of respect, is it better to be affiliated with people, let's say, to keep up with the Joneses, or is it best to look in the mirror, acknowledge who you are, work with what you got, and work for the best possible situation on the field, off the field, and preparing your student athletes for life? I'm asking that with a real stiff question at the tail end of this. And I know it might be putting you in a jam, and if you don't want to answer it, please, you don't have to. But in your own honest opinion, do you believe that Valley State would be better off in a D1 or D2 category?
I think Valley State, if you're in a D1 or D2 category and you don't have athletes, because there are some D2 programs that's getting more money than Valley State right now. Some D2 programs that can come through and beat Valley State and other teams in the SWAC. That has been proven even with, say, Delta State University, which is just about 45 miles away. They beat Valley State maybe 3 or 4 years. They beat Jackson State, too, when they played. So whether you're D1, D2, and AIA, it is no secret. It's going to come right back around to money and the support that you're getting in your program. That's what it's going to be. And D1, if you get the money, D2, if you get the money, whatever it is that you can get the money coming in. And being a D1 or D2, that's not going to help you get the money in there. What's going to help you get the money is through fundraising, through, as Coach Morgan said, putting butt in the seat on a regular basis. If you go to D1 or D2, they're going to bring more folks to your ball game? No, because they don't really know that much about D1 or D2. Talking about the fan, the regular fan, you got to reach out to them. They got to have a positive mindset about the university, talk the university up, get as much local talent. That's another issue. Get as much local talent as you possibly can, because you don't have that far to go to follow those schools. That is for Valley State. That is for Jackson State. That is for Prairie View. These are the people who are going to bring bodies to your game on a Saturday afternoon.
Talking with Lee Hall, the voice of the Mississippi Valley Delta Devils, here on the Mike Prince Show. We're just going back and forth, talking some X's and O's, some administrative challenges that not just Valley has faced, but all HBCU schools have to face, some more than others. When we talk about putting behinds in the seat, I think that is a consistent problem throughout the conferences, not just the SWAC, not just the MEAC, but even some of your D1s and your D2 schools. And there are a lot of factors that can contribute to that. A lot of it, in my own personal opinion, we got so much opposition when it comes to social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever else they got coming up that's on the horizon. And people are so preoccupied that the games, when I was in school, when you were in school, that was our social experience. So now everybody's streaming games, video streaming, which people go like, well, why should I go and pay $25, $30 to go watch the game when I can watch the game right here? There was a time, and this is just me personally, I think if you're doing too much showing, people lose interest. Do you remember when Monday Night Football was the highlight? You would have your Sunday games, and then Monday Night Football would come. Then they started tinkering with Sunday Night Football. Then they started tinkering with Thursday Night Football. And then when you get in December, they'll have Saturday football. And sometimes you can mess a good thing up.
What happened is, now, those outlets that you talked about earlier, those outlets are used for a lot of entertainment. Sports to us, unless you're directly involved in it, it's a form of entertainment. So it brings that aspect to it. But for the folks that go to the ball games, I think that when you talk about Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, for the folks that can get to the ball games, they go. Those crowds are sellout crowds. It might hurt a little bit when it comes to watching them on television. If you have a good product in the NFL, a good product in the NBA, a good product on the D1 level with the population there and the economic conditions are there where people can go out there and spend, matter of fact, hundreds of dollars on the weekend for their experience. They'll still go. And that's what college football is on a Saturday afternoon. It's an experience that you get inside the stadium that you can't get from watching it on the television or watching on the stream, because many people go to the ball game, go to the campus, and they go to socialize, and they go to have their weekend, or they go to a homecoming, meet folks they haven't seen in a long time. Many times folks go on their campus, contribute to the pot in terms of the money by buying what's sold on their campus, including parking for their RVs and so forth and so on. Some folks get to those ball games on a Thursday, get on their campus, particularly the big ones. And even this past weekend, when Gremlin came from a short drive, I think Gremlin short drive to Mississippi, there were RVs on that campus. I don't think all of them belong to Gremlin people. Some belong to the Valley State supporters, but they come to their football game for the experience. And again, sometimes too, some folks don't even get into the ball game, but they want to be around that atmosphere, the college atmosphere, and college football.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, it's more than a game. It's a event. And with that being said, what is, and you might know this number, you might not know, what is the capacity of Valley State's football stadium?
10,000 seaters. Matter of fact, when you said the event, when we signed off Saturday night, we said this event has come to close, because that's what it is on the college campuses. It's an event. If you're up in the press box, you look around and you look outside the stadium, many times folks are still milling around outside. They'll have, if the game is on the television, they have it on. If it's on the radio, they'll have the radio going in their areas. And they'll be listening to the ball game or watching through whatever source that they can, because they want their experience. The Valley State Rice Cotton Stadium is 10,000 seats.
It's a 10,000 seat stadium. So just on average, I'm pretty sure it was a pretty good turnout for this past event with Grambling. Is that safe to say?
It was because Dallas State just coming back home after the first 2 ball games in a row. They came back home. They had a pretty good crowd. Home side, the smaller side, was filled to capacity, and they had some people on the other side of the Grambling brought some fans. They brought their band, so it was not a bad turnout for that ball game.
Well, you got
I'd guess. I'll say 4,000, maybe 4,000 people.
Okay.
Maybe
okay.
5,000.
So 40% capacity of a 10,000 seat stadium. Safe to assume. You have a unique situation at your home field. You actually have flipped what has been traditionally considered the visitor side, the east side of the stadium, is actually now the home side of the stadium, which that's another thing that I think we need to really, really work on, is getting in the mindset, regardless if it's east or west side of the stadium, if you're the home team, all of it is your home field. So you want to get people in that mindset of filling that joker up regardless on which section it is. And if I had my druthers, if I got 10,000 seat stadium, I'm going to allow enough for 1,000 of the visiting team, including their band, and they'll squeeze them in one corner of the stadium, and the rest is our house. That's just me. That's just me. We know homecoming is going to always be the event of the events. And I know it's about how much you're winning and who's particularly coming in town that has a draw. Customarily, who are some of your better home field draws?
It's going to be, first of all, every year it's going to be the same. And we play one of these teams at home every year. It's going to be the Jackson State ball game and the Alcorn ball game. And so you have the ball game at home, and then you have also homecoming at home. So those are by far the best draws. Although last time Jackson State was at Dallas State, it rained on that day. It's a tough rain, so Dallas State did not have a lot of people at that ball game compared to in the past. But it's going to be, answer your question, it's going to be Jackson State, Alcorn, and homecoming.
Okay, very good, very good. And on average, those are going to be easily over 4,000 plus each event.
Oh, sure, yeah. If the day is right, it can be 8,000 to 9,000.
That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. Talking with Lee Hall, the voice of the Mississippi Valley Delta Devils. And Brother Hall, wow, I'm giving you this opportunity to let the folks know how they can follow and listen to you and your programming at the G Line.
Very easily, you go to gwoodlive.com on your website. Just log on www.gwoodlive.com, and we're there. We have videos there. We have a radio player there. We have video interviews there. We have some prior games there, all at www.gwoodlive.com.
All right, Brother Hall here on the Mike Prince Show, a special edition of the Mike Prince Show, doing something a little uniquely. We usually talk with some coaches, players, but we're talking with a very in-tuned and highly intelligent man on the other end here about the administrative part of collegiate football, in this particular case of the Mississippi Valley Delta Devils. I want to take a turn on you, Brother Hall, so put your seatbelt on and hold on tight. I want to get your feedback of this latest cry out, if you will, with the NFL and the Colin Kaepernick situation. Some have taken it to one extreme, the others have taken it to another. Some have read into it what was never intended to be. I want to get your feedback on what you see and how you see this thing unfolding.
What is happening here? African American men are being attacked. This is not just hearsay. If you go back and look at the videos, you'll see being shot, killed, planted on for absolutely no reason. You would think that they would kind of subside from since the videos out there, since the facts out and publicity is out there, but it's not, and it's still happening. And what Kaepernick is saying, what others are saying, that should not be. They're also saying, and this is an important part of my, they're saying the fact that I am a rich man in America. but I don't have my dignity. Being rich is not enough. Without my dignity, I'm still treated like a second-class citizen. They're saying that I'm not going to take this. Now, they're saying honor the flag, honor the flag. Well, not only white America fought for the flag and freedom and in the wars, black Americans did too. They died and bled for this country just like everybody else. They're saying I'm not going to be treated as a second-class citizen. I'm not going to be murdered in the broad daylight with people and just take it. So what they're doing, the athletes are using a public stage. They're using something that brings people together when folks are watching to get the attention. They're saying not being rich is not good enough for me when I and others are being treated as a second-class citizen. Now, some are going to take that and contort that and say that they're disrespecting the flag. What flag? I'm not. Am I disrespecting my flag? It's mine. It just looks as it is for it. So that's why that is coming out. Also, you have others out there, even white Americans, saying this country, we've gone through this before, and it was ugly. Talking about racial discrimination, it was ugly, and we refuse to go through it again because we are a great country, but we could be better if we unite. You can have differences of opinion. You can have different routes and roads to get to where you want to get to, but racism cannot be an option. So they're saying this president, by the things that he is saying, being as low as he can, when he talks about the players of NFL teams and get the SOB off the field, not just about them, but their parents as well. And he has a small following. And they're saying if we keep doing what we're doing, that's going to fizzle out. Not just the fellows of the NFL players, but the NFL's owners as well as just like trickle roll into the NBA. And not to mention all the other groups out there, where some groups have more white people out there than black folks saying, we're not going down that dark road anymore. We've done that. That didn't work. Even the president of the United States can't push us down that bad road.
Wow. That's a lot being said in a short time. When sometimes people are echoing, well, the president is only saying what others want to say but don't have the nerve or the heart to say it. How do you respond to that?
Absolutely right. And what he's doing, he's playing to his base. He'll get there. He'll sit up to a small group of people that'll get blown up out there on the media. But there are some folks out there that believe and like to say what he's saying. But to be ugly, to be nasty, and to be low down to people, that's not a win-win. And what these people are doing out there by supporting what he's saying, he's supporting what they do when they talk bad, they're going to be sucked up in the vacuum as well. The tickets are going to go toward a group that they're hating and they're disliking, but it'll come back and it'll get you every time. And Trump is leading. Trump as the president of the United States is leading the way. Unfortunately, that is happening. Unfortunately. So that explains why his rated at around 30% in a 30% hold. And that's
I think the last they checked, it actually had increased to 43%.
42% approval rating?
Yes, sir.
Wow. That's a bad number. That's a bad number.
Right, and in defense of that, people say you can make the numbers say any and everything. You can make your numbers look like this is good and that is bad, and vice versa. So I really don't try to look at numbers from that perspective. I'm a more of a observation type individual. I watch what you say. I watch even closely what you do, and then I look at how you respond to certain things. And when you look at these tangibles that make up what we call the U.S. of A, you got to look at it with polarizing vision, that how did we get to this point? From one man kneeling down in a silent protest to a divide and conquer message, whichever side you choose to support. Because if you get on this side, then you're going to be looked at it this way. You get on that side, you're going to be looked at that way. But it's amazing how we've gotten to this point. And you know what else? We haven't got anything resolved.
Oh, that's the whole deal. As the president of the United States, or the president of any company or the leader, regardless of what you said it earlier. It's about getting things done. And what has he been able to? And this is not personal. At the end of the day, you look at the bottom line. What has he been able to get done? He said, and others talked about health care for 7 years, going on 8 years now, which would help insure 30 million people under the plan for the third time. It's going to fail, and it's really not about a Republican, Democrat. When you're at the top, it is about the benefit of the people. When the commander in chief says that my job is to protect America. So what is it when you have a hall full of people that can't help themselves? I was saying, if you take this away from me, that I'm going to lose my life. I'm going to die. My sister, brother, child cannot survive without what I'm getting now to aid me, because they know that if you can have a catastrophe in your life through an illness that will bankrupt you, even if you are well off and rich. So he is what President Barack Obama is able to put in place, not to have all, but have some. And not perfect. He said it's not perfect, but they want to dismantle that, repeal and replace. But you have some men out there that say they're Republicans. They're stepping up saying, no, this would not be good for the country. It's not good for the people. Therefore, it's not good for the country. Let's fix it. So let's come to the table with a sincere effort of fixing it. Not some kind of gimmick, not some kind of game, not some kind of campaign promise. We don't go along that line. And you haven't saw them step up and say that. So I think in the end, although Trump is divisive, purposefully or not, I think it's going to unite some people. And people of goodwill, anybody there of goodwill would come to the forefront. And that's what we're having back along these sidelines. Folks of goodwill are saying, no, Mr. President, I hear what you're saying. I see you going to your base and you're spewing that, but for the good of my community, for the good of the people in Pittsburgh, for the good of the people in Dallas, because people love their football teams. And it might take sports. It might take sports to push the people in the right direction and unite and say enough is enough.
Talking with Lee Hall, voice of the Mississippi Valley Delta Devils. This man is passionate about his Delta Devils. He's passionate about his community. He's passionate about his nation, as you can hear in our conversation going on here at the Mike Prince Show. It is always a joy and a pleasure to speak with you, Brother Hall. I want to ask you this question, and then we will be wrapping up here in a little bit. Does it really have to be a Republican or Democratic thing? Can it just be doing the right thing?
Oh, that's what it's supposed to be. And we're hearing more Democrats say that. We're hearing more Republicans say that. But I heard someone one time say, I would rather see a sermon than to hear one. I've heard the phrase that put some doodaloo with your hallelujah, and get some, and in other words, get some things done. I hear what you're saying. All that sounds good, but let me see some results. And the only result is it's simple: to do what you can to help the American people. Mike, it does not have to be black, white, Republican, or Democrat. You know what it has to be? When Prairie View takes the field this week, it did come out there where the white quarterback, black quarterback, or all in between. You want him to complete that pass. Whether it's going to be a black person, a white person, it doesn't matter. Whether the punter or the field goal kicker out there is black, white, or indifferent, when that ball is placed down, you want the foot of whoever that person's on to kick that ball through the upright. Mike, what we're seeing in college football, what we're seeing in pro football, what we're seeing on black canvases, predominantly black canvases, that is what America is. So I don't think when they say take my country back and
scream off.
Take my country back and make America great again. America is great, just trying to get better. and we need some leadership to take us that way. And we don't put it all on the president because he didn't cast over almost 60 million votes by himself. He has some following.
Absolutely. And like it or not, we're just in year one. And as they say, put your seatbelt on and let's enjoy the ride. Brother Hall, you have been a breath of fresh air for me, and I know the listening audience here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this man has been a solid force in the Southwestern Athletic Conference broadcasting community, not just in Mississippi Valley. Anywhere this young man goes, people know who Brother Lee Hall is, and I count it a blessing, an honor, and a joy to call him a friend and to be able to have this exclusive interview with you, sir. And I'm going to give you the final curtain call, and we'll wrap this segment up for today.
Well, nothing more than, man, I appreciate what you do. I appreciate your outlet. I appreciate immensely what you do for your local communities. We hear about America. We hear about the United States of America. So it is made up of the 50 states that we have. It is made up of the many, many communities that we have, such as Prairie View and Greenwood, Mississippi. They say when we talk politics, all politics is local, they say. That is absolutely true. The things that we get done looking to take place on the national level, talking about national politics, it could best get started and be an example of what America is supposed to be. That can happen right here in Greenwood. What America is supposed to be, that can happen right there in Prairie View, Texas. I say that because I know that, first of all, what Prairie View means to Mike Prince. I know what it means. I can hear it in your voice when you talk about it. I know what your community means to you, not just the university or only the university, but the community. I know how you care. It's been demonstrated by your actions when you care about people, and keep doing what you're doing because it is absolutely contagious. Keep doing what you're doing, even with the challenges that you have every day, because that too is very, very inspiring. And don't you forget it, please.
Well, thank you very much, my friend. As I say, I'm just one man trying to do his part until the Lord says, well done, thy good and faithful servant. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of the Mike Prince Show. Remember that you can follow me on Twitter at Radio Guy. His Instagram is Radio Guy 22. The website is obn-radio.com. Our low-tech app is 605-477-5066. You lock that number in on your phone, dial it up, and listen to 24-hour programming right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. As always, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.